My fellow squad players and people of the internet, the BM21 grad. Alright, enough of that. Squad's newest update, version 4.3, is finally here, and if you're watching this, that probably means you're currently installing it right now, or you're stuck at work, which means today is about to feel like your longest shift this year. So, I'll try not to make this too long, as you're probably sat on the toilet right now, and I don't want you limping out on 2 dead legs at the end of this. Well, this video is all about the overhaul of the Irregular Militia Forces, and boy has OWI delivered. Not only do we get new vehicles and infantry kits, we also get some new fortifications and emplacements. Now before we dive in, make sure to subscribe to the channel for more squad guides, gameplay and updates, and feel free to join the Red Army through the channel memberships in the link down below. Right, so first up, let's take a look at the vehicles. As we can see, they've all been giving a new camo, and all of the vehicles look extremely weathered. On top of this, they all brandish the new IMF logo, and I have to say, the look of this really fits in with the whole premise and feel of this faction. Now in terms of new assets, OWI has added an up-armoured version of the Ural 375, which just gives off Mad Max vibes. It's still the slowest Logi in game, but now, with that armour plating, hopefully the occupants have some reasonable protection. On top of this, Militia also gets a Tiger. It is just the open top and looks like it's in need of restoration, but it still functions perfectly and will pretty much fit a full squad inside. Some of the technicals have also been given the Mad Max treatment, but let's get onto the star of this update, the BM21 grad. This grad is armed with 40 122mm dumbfire rockets, with a minimum arming distance of 100 meters and a maximum effective range of 1500 meters over flat ground. It's time to see this thing in action. The grad does do more damage than the traditional rocket technicals and has a much wider arc of fire. Its cumbersome size and slow speeds can leave it somewhat vulnerable. However, the damage this will inflict on enemy structures, emplacements and infantry will be where this vehicle becomes unrivaled. But for the sake of science, OWI has kindly given me access to a server to test a few things. And one thing I wanted to test is how effective is this against vehicles. So for this scenario, I want to see what happens when the whole lot is dropped on a small cluster of vehicles. Similar situation to when you find a few vehicles using a repair station. Now as you can see, the Logi has been completely destroyed, whilst other vehicles have either been immobilised or had a reasonable amount of damage inflicted. Enough to keep them out of the battle at least. Now before I set this up, I did try this on a lone scimitar, and 5 direct hits completely removed it from the map, but they were very carefully placed. So if someone is a god with this thing, I can see it destroying vehicles, but realistically that's not what it's for. Onto the infantry side of things now, and this is where Militia has had a really big shake-up. You've got new kits, new weapons and new features. So let's go through them all, because some of these are absolutely wild. Starting with the squad leader kit, there's now 6 infantry SL kits to choose from. The very first is armed with the AKS-74U and paired with the 45 round banana mag. This will be a great weapon for CQB situations and is actually quite controllable in full auto. You also get 2 RGD-5 grenades in your pocket, as well as all of your usual SL equipment. Also, the reload animations are pretty nice. Next up is the classic M4 with aimpoint sight. This can be fired in either semi or 3-round burst. Again, comes with 2 grenades, a sidearm, a knife, and your usual SL equipment. The third kit is the traditional AK-74 with the upside down reticle, a personal favourite of mine I might add. Can be fired in fully auto or semi, has 2 grenades, TT pistol and all of the basics. Now here's where things start to get pretty wild. The 4th SL kit is the AK-74 paired with the traditional 1P63 optic. But as you can also see, it's got a GP25 grenade launcher slapped onto it. You get 2 fragmentation grenades instead of your RGD5s and 6 smoke grenades. Now, with it being the GP25, you also get the option to turn it into a 40mm portable mortar, and on top of this, you get 1 anti-tank grenade. The 5th kit boasts all the same equipment minus the anti-tank grenade, but instead, you get the Russian standard issue 1P78 optic. So that's 2 SL kits with a 40mm grenade launcher. And this is only the beginning. Medic kits have been revised. Iron Sight Medic now gets the AKS-74 and 2 RGD5 grenades, whilst the Scope Medic now gets the AK-74 with the 1P29 and 1 RGD5 grenade. Onto squad roles, and there's a whole host of kit changes in here. For Riflemen, you now get to choose between the FN FAL, the M4, AKS-74, M4 with the aim point, AK-74 with the modern optic, and the classic SKS with the PU. As for the 2 new kits in here, the roles titled Ambusher has 2 options. The first uses an Iron Sight FN FAL, but in its box of tricks are 5 fragmentation rifle grenades. And again, can we just take a second to appreciate the animation of this? Rangeable from 40 meters to 80 meters, and with a minimum arming distance of 10, this is going to be a fantastic anti-infantry weapon. But it doesn't end there, as you also get one of these nifty one-man tents. I can see marksmen wanting to team kill for these. Whilst yes, you can conceal yourself within one, it won't take much for your fat ass to be sticking out or the barrel to be poking out of the end, so just be careful. The second Ambusher kit uses an M4 and gives you 2 RGD5 grenades and 2 anti-tank grenades, as well as another one-man tent. And finally, the Automatic Rifleman gets the Mini-Me, and this thing can literally spray for days. Moving on to the fire support roles, the newest addition is the Infiltrator kit. Armed with an AKS-74U and the 45 round banana mags, this kit is all about being close quarters. In fact, your sidearm is the VZ Scorpion of all things. You also get 2 RGD5 grenades and 4 anti-tank grenades, which, if I haven't already mentioned, detonate on impact. Next up is the Automatic Rifleman, which is pretty much a carbon copy of the Russian kit. You get the long-barreled RPK-74 paired with the 1P78 optic. On top of this, you also get a Makarov as a sidearm and an RGD5 grenade. Were grenades on sale or something when Militia got updated? Now, the 2 Grenadier classes you get use the Iron Sight M4 and Iron Sight AK-74. However, the M4 class doesn't use a 40mm launcher. No, it gets an RPG-7 with 5 fragmentation rockets, as well as 2 RGD5 grenades. The AK class uses the traditional GP25 grenade launcher, and it has 10 40mm fragmentation grenades, as well as a bunch of smoke options. The first light anti-tank kit uses an Iron Sight FN FAL, and for its AT duties, it gets 5 FN FAL heat rifle grenades. Again, rangeable up to 80 meters and a minimum arm of 10, it will be interesting to see what kind of damage these things can inflict. The second LAT kit comes with the AKS-74 with the upside down range optic, and now has 2 heat rounds and 2 fragmentations. And to round up fire support, the Marks Meme kit gets the classic SVD with the 10 round box mags and a TT Tokarev to back it up. Oh, and you guessed it, an RGD5 grenade. Now onto the specialists. The machine gunner kit has undergone some sizable changes. Now using the PKM paired with the 1P29 upside down optic, you can finally see what you're throwing all of your rounds at. You genuinely feel like Arnold Schwarzenegger lugging this bit of kit around. And just in case you ever needed it, you now get the teeny tiny Makarov as a sidearm. You know, I'm pretty sure this might be the first MG kit that comes with a sidearm. The first heavy anti-tank kit now has the AKS-74U with the 30 round mags. The launcher is the classic RPG-7, and you now get 2 tandem anti-tank rounds and 2 fragmentation. You know, I think they finally ran out of grenades. The second kit uses the Iron Sight FN FAL, and you know what? I haven't seen this many FALs since Rhodesia. The AT launcher of choice this time though is the RPG-29, and you get 2 tandem rounds to go. The newly named Saboteur kit also uses the AKS-74U, but this next change might not be very popular with people who like to blow things up. Traditionally, the Militia Sapper had IEDs, but in this big shakeup, they have been replaced with 3 30-second timed fused explosives, as well as 3 landmines. Now, I have double checked, and yes, this is an intended change, but going through all of these new additions this faction's getting, I don't think losing IEDs is going to be a major issue. I mean, they were only really useful on the commander's drone, and not many people did that either. Now, a quick strat I will quickly throw in for these landmines that may be useful will be to hide them inside these stupid one-man tents, as most drivers will expect a person to be hiding in there, and I don't think they'd be able to resist the urge to run them over, so you can thank me later for that one. But that rounds off all of the infantry changes and leads us into the changes in emplacements and fortifications. The first major addition is the camo tents and fencing. These are all about maximizing concealment, and whilst yes, they may give your position away at times, you don't quite know what's lurking behind it, or you can simply use them as decoys. As a squad leader, you can place down 3 types: the camo net wall, camo net lean-to, and the camo net canopy, all available in the tech structures section. They can be used to conceal a whole manner of things, but my personal favourite right now is to hide the AA gun inside one of these. Another nice addition is the hedgehogs. These metal menaces will be perfect for blocking roads off for enemy vehicles and creating the perfect opportunity for ambushes. Now onto emplacements, and Militia have got a whole bunch of toys to play with, from shielded and unshielded Dushka machine guns, the ZU 23mm anti-air gun, the SPG-9 recoilless rifle, a mortar. There's now 2 new additions to go with these. The first is the M2A1 50 cal heavy machine gun tripod, that instead of being at standing height like the Dushkas are, is in a seated position. Now naturally, this means it only has about a 60-degree arc of fire, but it will put out a decent amount of damage being a 50 cal. And finally, Militia now has access to the ZIS-3 field gun, which fires 76mm rounds. It can fire high explosive anti-tank rounds, smoke rounds, and fragmentation. And just like what I said about the AA gun, hiding this inside a tent will be absolutely lethal. The optic on this is much like the T-62 gunner sight, with the Stadia set to NATO vehicle height. Now for fortifications, again Militia gets a whole host of things to place. Sandbags, wooden walls, razor wire, watchtowers, and ladders fall in line with every other faction in game. But now Militia have had dirt crates added. You can choose between 3 types: low wall, high wall, and dirt crates with firing ports. I have to say, these have been done brilliantly, as they are incredibly usable. Normally when trying to set up a bipod in a traditional bunker or sandbag wall, it's very clunky or just flat out broken. But these crate walls work seamlessly. Even with the PKM, I can set up in the 2 firing ports and I'm able to use them as intended. And now for all of you armor players and T-62 lovers, you can finally protect your glorious tank ammo rack by building these new tank bunkers. I have been wanting these for years. You can place a maximum of 2 per radio, and you simply just have to drive into it once it's built. They work perfectly for your T-62 and BMP-1. Just be aware in case the enemy combat engineer sneaks up behind you and places a few cheeky mines. Commander assets remain the same: a handheld drone for reconnaissance, and the heavy mortar barrage for some condensed destruction. All in all, this complete overhaul of the Militia faction is incredible. The faction now feels genuinely unique, rather than just a subpar version of Russia. I'm certainly looking forward to trying out all of the new roles, but there's one thing I'm looking forward to most, and that's building a superform. What's got you the most hyped for this faction? Let me know in the comments down below or in my Discord server. Thank you all for watching, take care, and I'll catch you in the next video.